Welcome back to the Stretch the Floor podcast. I'm Matthew here, as always, with Venushan, and today we're doing our mid-season NBA awards. I don't know what percentage of the way we're through the season. It's more than half, but I don't know how much we have left. But we're doing our second NBA awards. We did our quarter season. Um, yeah, like usual, we're gonna do the six main awards plus added bonus executive of the year. We usually start with executive, and we kind of start with the more boring one and work our way up, but let's flip it around today and start with the big one. Let's start with MVP. Um, yeah, let's you start off for us. What are your top three MVP candidates?
So everyone has the same three. Essentially, it's been talked about consistently on every big news media and all that stuff. But I do differ from the big three that they have because I have Joel Embiid as my number three,
Wow.
Nikola Jokic as my number two, and my number one is DeMar
Oh
DeRozan.
my God. Okay. Um, I too am deviating from the three, and I have the same three. But as much as I love DeMar DeRozan, I have it in the exact flipped order for you. I have DeMar three, Nikola Jokic two, and Joel Embiid one. Um, I I thought I was going out on a limb having DeMar three, but I'm pleasantly surprised to see you have him as number one. Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, man, like you can make a legitimate argument for him. Like MV, I don't know if we just want to get into DeMar now or what do you
yeah.
want
Let's
to
just go
do
straight into
DeMar now?
DeMar.
Because MVP is based off not only stats but based off team success. And DeMar DeRozan is the number one seed in the Eastern
Yes,
Conference and is averaging 28 a game on uh, really good percentages, and he's making 35% of his threes this year.
yeah.
Like, if you
It's
just take
crazy.
away the name, you look at those numbers, you look that he's in the one seed. Any other year, that's a serious top three, top two MVP candidate.
Yeah, and in my opinion, like if it wasn't for narratives that are just like assisting this whole, oh man, the big men are back. That's kind of the narrative the NBA is pushing with, Giannis being the conventional third, number three pick for MVP. Like that's the whole NBA is pushing it because Giannis is center, Embiid's a center, and Jokic center. But DeMar DeRozan is the guy. He broke a Wilt Chamberlain record for most 35 points and like what was it, 9 rebound games in a row. He has the most now in all NBA. It's a DeMar DeRozan record now. He's shooting over 51% from the field. He's shooting 86% from the free throw line. He's scoring 28 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. And in the last month, he's averaging 34.4 points with 6 rebounds and 5.9 assists on even better percentages at 56.7%
Yeah.
from the field and 89% from the free throw line. He's shooting Shaq like percentages. Like that's how good he's shooting. And with Steph Curry, like free throw percentages. Like it's crazy how good
Yeah.
and efficient he's been. And his team has had injuries. Zach
Mhm.
Levine's been out. Zach Levine had his knee drained at a specialist. How much weeks has Lonzo Ball missed now? The wrist injury caused him what, a 6 to 8 week, or that might be Alex Caruso. Well, whatever. They
Yeah.
both missed 6 to 8 weeks. Derek Jones Jr. himself has missed six to like almost a month now. Vucevic wasn't playing great at the start of the season.
Mhm.
DeMar DeRozan has been that consistent guy for the Bulls.
Yeah.
And it's not just like the Bulls are like a fourth, fifth seed. They're the first seed.
Mhm.
So it's not out of the realm to give him the award. He's higher than the guy that people have as like the odds on favorite to win, which is Embiid. He has a higher seed than them.
Mhm.
And his team and Joel Embiid's team has James Harden now, has Tyrese Maxey playing at a near all-star level, has Tobias Harris scoring nearly 20 points a game. You know what I mean? So it's not like Joel Embiid has no help. So I'm going with the guy who has comparable stats, doing it on equivalent efficiency, and has the higher seed. It's a case to make. I think DeMar DeRozan should firmly be in this conversation.
It's a legitimate case, and like when we did this last time, we both I think we had him just outside our top three. We're saying, it's so nice to see him playing this well, but like realistically, like this is probably like the high point for him of the season, and he's
Yeah,
gone in the complete opposite direction of of,
he's
of what we thought. He's
yeah,
only getting better as the weeks go by. He had the best week of his career by far this
yeah,
past week, like you mentioned, and he another interesting stat with him. He leads the league in fourth quarter points by
yep,
quite a big margin. He's at He's 55 points more than Giannis, who's the next highest scoring fourth quarter scorer in the NBA. So these are not empty stats, obviously. He's winning games, like we said, first seed. And this is like the first time. I mean, he was always the Raptor teams he was on were good. The Spurs teams weren't so good.
Yeah.
But this is the first time he's playing with this much spacing, this much scoring around him, and maybe that's just all he needed his whole career. And he would have been doing things like this if other teams surrounded him with that kind of talent.
Yeah, and it's clear that he's learned and evolved his game. And people
Yeah.
be like, the common evolution everyone wanted to take in his game was add a 3-point shot. But instead of adding a 3-point shot, which he kind of has, he's shooting 35%. So he can
Yeah.
hit it when they count and if he needs to. But I'm
Yeah.
saying the thing he added to his game was his playmaking.
Yeah.
He has become an elite level wing playmaker. Just short of like LeBron, like DeMar DeRozan's right up there. Like the passes he can make and the difficulty of passes he can make are crazy, and the difficulty of shots he takes too. Like when we're just here, like the mid range, step back fadeaways, the anything. Like he makes such difficult shots, and he just reminds me of a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. This is a season that's living up to that comparison, living up to that skill set. And in my opinion, this is one of those seasons where if the NBA wasn't running such a strong narrative of centers are back, you know what I mean? Like Philadelphia 76ers are like the most talked about team in the league right now. If there wasn't such a strong narrative right now, I really think DeMar DeRozan would be 1 or 2 in the league with this award.
Yeah, the only reason I have those two centers over him is honestly just because of the situations that they're playing in on their team. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I could read off Embiid's stats. Like he's 29.7 a game, 11 boards, 4.5 assists, close to 50% from the field, and close to 40% from three, 38% from three. And he's doing that without Ben Simmons the whole season, right? Until now he has Harden, obviously. So maybe that changes things the way the rest of the season goes.
Yeah.
But just the way he took over that team, he's leading the league with 5.3 points per game in the clutch. Like he just kind of single-handedly willed that team to where they are. Same with Jokic. His team is even worse. Like you look at a team, like the depth chart that he's been playing with, and the numbers he's putting up, the efficiency got better. That's the only reason I have it, but it could totally be DeMar DeRozan if you just forgot about the narrative.
If there's only 3 scenarios, it's either DeMar DeRozan if you want to just give it to the best seed, because they all have comparable stats, right?
Yeah.
It's Nikola Jokic if you want to give it to, if you want to look around the team and see whoever has the least amount of help. And it's Joel Embiid if you want to just factor into defense massively and say he's the best two-way player this season.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just those 3 narratives. I went with the seeding. You factored in defense. And I know a lot of advanced stats guys are going to factor in Nikola Jokic's lack of help and him having a similar record to Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And DeMar DeRozan. He's only like 1.5 behind the 76ers and like 3.5 behind the Bulls. So like,
something like that.
He's not too far off from being right there with the 76ers in record wise. So it's either that. It's either you go most wins, DeMar DeRozan, least amount of help, Nikola Jokic, and defense, Joel Embiid. I don't think really Giannis. I think Giannis is the clear 4 out of these guys, just because he has a little bit of everything, but he has the most help by far. Like I think Giannis is the best player in the NBA. Like if you ask me, you know what I mean, to rank him, like outrank him above those 3, but he has the most help, and he just doesn't have an MVP campaign this year. I think he's also getting like a LeBron, MJ treatment where they only won a couple and, kind of voter fatigue. So yeah, I don't think Giannis is really in there, but I think these next 3 guys are going to be talked about a lot coming the next couple months.
Agreed. And it's whether you have Embiid 1, Jokic 2, whatever, like it's very, very close. And we still have, a good chunk of season to go. And like you said, Harden is now playing with Embiid and the Bulls are facing some injury trouble, right? So if DeMar DeRozan keeps this up, suddenly that narrative with the help could swing in his favor too. And then we could see him shoot up, especially if he keeps putting up numbers like he's been putting up the last week. It's just ridiculous. But
and let's say the Nuggets go on a win streak and he actually ends up with a higher record than the 76ers. If the Nuggets get the 4th seed, it's a lock. Like there's no debate.
Yeah.
Like this is
Yeah.
Jokic's award.
Yeah.
Like right now he just doesn't have the fourth seed, so I'm giving it to DeMar DeRozan. But if he gets the fourth seed, it's a lot. Like there's no
Agreed.
debate. It's no
Agreed.
question.
Yeah.
Sadly, I don't think he'll get the fourth seed. I know MPJ is rumored to return on March. March, they just said mid-March, so he's coming
Mhm.
back around then. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun end to the race. And even if let's say Giannis goes on a huge win streak, gets the number one seed by a
Mhm.
decent margin from the rest of them, he's gonna be the MVP favorite, right?
Yeah.
It's just those four guys, they're neck and neck. They're all like any if you say any of those four guys, you have an argument to make and you can't be considered wrong.
Yeah. Interesting that Steph was not mentioned once in this conversation when he was kind of our consensus. Like
Yeah.
I would bet on him right now to win MVP, and I guess I don't know. Some of these guys just kind of took it, right from under him.
Yeah, Steph, I think, is just getting that team effect where it's
Yeah.
like Klay Thompson's back. I know Draymond Green's not playing, but he still left such a huge impact with the team.
Mhm.
Jordan Poole is going to be competing for another award we're going to talk about. Andrew Wiggins was literally an all-star starter. Coach Kerr was named the top 15 coach of all time. You know what I mean? Like he's just having the
Yeah.
effect where it's like, oh, your team's so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's definitely, in my opinion, he's the clear number fifth.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on then. Which award should we talk about next?
Should we talk about our favorite award as Toronto Raptors fans?
All right. Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year. So rookie of the year for me, I think everyone around the league probably has the same three, but I got Josh Giddy at number 3. I have Scotty Barnes 2 and Evan Mobley number 1.
I have your 1 and 2 in the same order. I have Evan Mobley
Okay.
1,
Okay.
Scotty Barnes 2. I actually have Cade Cunningham as my number
Really?
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I've just been hearing a lot about Josh Giddy recently, and it seems like he's kind of been on the come up. But yeah. Okay. Okay. I like it.
Yeah. Let's talk about
So
Cade first.
interesting. What's that, sir? Cade?
Let's talk
Yeah.
about Cade
Let's talk about
first.
Cade. Yeah. Okay.
Cade's just doing what we expect him to do, man. He's scoring 16 points with 5.5 rebounds, 5.1 assists, 1.2 steals, almost 86% from the line. Obviously, horrible field goal percentage because he's like the only scorer, him and Grant, at 40% from the field goal. But, he's getting better week in, week out. These last 2 weeks, he's averaging 18.5, so the scoring bump, 6.5 rebounds, rebound bump. He's doing his little things here and there. The efficiency is not there. But as a rookie on the worst team in the league or one of the worst teams in the league, to be able to score this much, pass this much, play make this much, while having like everyone focus in on you at such a young age, it's still an impressive thing to do.
Yeah, five assists is impressive. The 16 points is also impressive. The thing that surprised me is the 3-point percentage. Like I thought that was going to be his go-to skill. Besides maybe his playmaking in the NBA, and maybe it's just the quality shots he's getting, right? Maybe just nothing open and having to force things maybe a little bit too much. I don't know. But I think it'll come around.
And he's kind of like, he's very good at when he catches the ball, like shooting it, and he doesn't really have like a playmaker who, he could dribble the ball, get him that open shot in the corner for him to catch and shoot, to get his rhythm and get his flow and everything. So I think getting another playmaker, getting that upgraded point guard over Killian Hayes, which essentially is any NBA player. Like once the Pistons do that, I think Cade Cunningham's gonna have a much better efficiency and much better year. So I hope they get some type of point guard in there that can really help facilitate things for them. The Magic have a lot. I hope they kind of get a fault somehow in there. I like to see that.
Yeah, same. Josh Giddy, I kind of have a similar argument for him. Honestly, the stats are pretty similar. 12.5 points, close to 8 boards, which was pretty impressive, and then 6.5 assists. Bad percentages, but I just think they're both doing what they can on bad teams, and Giddy especially showing a lot of flashes of being like a really, really, really good lead playmaking point guard, I think.
Yeah, for me, Giddy's just like, when you watch Giddy, he just seems like a number 2, number 3 type of player, right? For like a championship team.
Yeah.
Whereas like Cade Cunningham, he seems like a 1, and maybe even Cade, let's say you're not really high on Cade, he at least seems like a 2. So I think like that's why maybe just like those flashes he's shown me where he just seems like the better player, I have him there. And also I just think the Pistons team's worse. So I'm like, oh man, he's got to do it in harder situations.
That's fair.
Which is crazy to say because OKC has like four players which are like
Yeah,
recognizable by
yeah,
NBA fans, but
yeah.
Shea's just that good. He might be better than the whole Pistons roster.
That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the top two is
a
interesting.
debate.
Yeah, it's a debate. Honestly, it could go either way. I'm interested to hear why you have Mobley number one as well.
For me, the only reason I have Mobley number one is defense. That's not
Mhm.
saying Scotty Barnes is a slouch on defense. He's been a pretty good defender. He's been, switching on, doing all the impressive, tidy work. Scotty Barnes has been like, like he actually has a case for all NBA defense. Like his switching, his ability to play the four, his ability to switch onto fives, ability to switch threes, his ability to like narrate and be loud. Like it's definitely next level. It literally shows a future defensive player of the year caliber like player. But also he also does get the benefit of playing alongside Jared Allen, who is going to be an all NBA defender, is going to
Mhm.
be in defensive player of the year conversations, right? So it's tough to say because he has that player next to him who's in that defensive player of the year conversations, and he has a player who's made MIP jumps, and he kind of just gets a lot of that recognition. Like, oh man, Evan Mobley came in and made everything easy for them, which
Mhm.
is not 100% the case, but it is a little bit of the case. And I just think changing the culture, changing that whole effect of the Cleveland Cavaliers was such a drastic change, and Evan Mobley will get their work because of that. Whereas Scotty Barnes has been great. We have him as like he could be a number one guy. Like he's that good. Like
Mhm.
he shows flashes of potentials where he scores 20. He goes to the
Mhm.
paint. He goes off. He plays great switching defense, guarding centers, being loud, vocal on defense. But the Raptors were already established as like a good organization, an organization who's kind of content for a playoff spot, can contend for play in, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Even though Scotty Barnes has been a lot better than expected, the expectation of the Raptors didn't
Right.
raise crazy
Right.
amount. Like the Cleveland Cavaliers were expected to be a lottery team, and now
Yeah.
they're fighting for top four. Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of my argument too. Scotty Barnes, no, nothing to detract from him whatsoever, but he's kind of doing much better than we expected, but we
yeah,
expected him to kind of be a cog, a gear in the Raptors, the well-oiled Raptors machine, and that's exactly what he's doing now. It's like a much
yeah.
like better machine than we thought it was going to
Better,
be.
yeah.
He's playing a lot more minutes than we thought he was going to be getting, and he's earning those minutes. But Mobley's just like from day one, so dependable, just so like rock steady. You watch him and you don't think he's a rookie. Like you said, like you can make the All NBA. Like if there was an All Defense third team or whatever, even
He's in
like
there.
he's in there 100%, and he might even crack the
Second
actual
team.
NBA defense teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just so steady and and just from day one, like he looks like the second coming of Anthony Davis. I don't really think that's blasphemous to say at this point. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
just a little slight edge over Scotty, just with his
But
dependability and how just the drastic change in culture in Cleveland, right? So
I would say Scotty is a significantly better offensive player though at this standpoint
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
because he has high level playmaking, and
yeah,
when given the ball, and especially in this recent touches when like OG was out, when like Scotty was asked to score more, or in touches when Pascal was out, when Scotty was asked to do more,
yeah,
like he was able to score more, fill those scoring gaps. And even when Freddie was out, he was asked to do the playmaking roles, be the
yeah,
secondary play point guard for
yeah,
Pascal Siakam because
yeah.
Siakam moved to the point guard when Freddie was out. He was able to do that, right? So that just showed like elite level versatility on the playmaking, on the scoring. I really think Scotty Barnes is going to be like I think next and he's been getting a better shot too. Like his three has been improving year
Much
to
better.
year, like game to game, his three has been improving.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
give Scotty Barnes 1 to 2 years and like man,
Yeah.
it looks scary.
No, I know it's all there. It's just like we'll see flashes there. Okay, he can do this, and then like maybe like he's a little quieter one night, but I think that's also just due a
Because
lot of the nature of the Raptors team, right? It's just kind of
yeah,
a team that has so many guys that could step up and have a big night. And Pascal Siakam just turned into a different player over the last like 2.5 months or so.
yeah,
So that obviously makes it a little harder for Scotty to fit in offensively, but
and
totally agree. We've seen so much, and he looks like he could be a number one like next
yeah,
year. Like that's how good he is.
and Scotty has one of the hardest situations to come into because, as Thaddeus Young was saying, who is a proven veteran, proven on a lot of championship and playoff teams, was it's very hard to play five positions.
Yeah.
And that's what the Raptors ask you to do. That's what this playbook asks you to do, right? So that's why he was like giving compliments to Scotty Barnes and stuff. It's like you have to learn how to play 5 positions on offense and defense, and being able to adjust to that was very, very hard for a rookie to do. And for Scotty Barnes to be able to do that, like it just shows
Yeah.
how elite he is and how versatile is. He is like he's right up there, like for versatility, like not just rookies, like
No,
he's
yeah.
right up there. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And averaging 8 boards as a rookie is at his
great.
like pseudo position, whatever position he is really, really, really great. Yeah. Okay, let's pivot to either sixth man or most improved.
Let's do six man. I
Sixth
think
man?
that's one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear yours.
So the number one, I think, is a lock, but I think the other two positions we have a little bit of debate for. And my number one is Tyler Hero. That's going to
Mm-hmm.
be your number one. My number two is Kevin Love, and my number
Okay.
three is Jordan Poole.
Okay, I like that. I only wrote down Tyler Hero because like I think there's
Yeah,
no chance like he's like a
anyone else
minus
win.
1200 favorite right now or something
Mhm.
betting wise. But yeah, Jordan Poole, and I really like the Kevin Love. This is like the kind of new chapter of Kevin Love's career is it's awesome to see. There's just so many good feel good stories coming out of Cleveland. So I really like that.
Yeah, Kevin Love is averaging nearly 14 points, 13.9, 2.43, 7.3 rebounds,
Yeah.
2.1 assists, while shooting 85% from the free throw and 42% from the field. He's just been proving to be one of the best bench power forward slash centers, coming in when Mobley or Jared Allen needs a little rest, shooting the three, playing defense, being vocal, being a leader on the court and off the court. And he just revitalized his career. And a lot of that is Darius Garland's huge jump,
Yeah.
Ricky Rubio playing great when he was there for them, Evan Mobley's jump, because he's just been getting a lot of open shots, and Kevin Love can hit open shots. Everyone knows
Yeah.
that. And yeah, that's great to see. I'm happy that he's back. I'm happy that he's happy playing basketball again. But yeah, he definitely should be in conversations, as much as you can be. But
Yeah.
because the guy that's gonna win this award, Tyler Hero, like
Yeah.
he on some nights is literally the best scorer for the Miami
Mm-hmm.
Heat.
Yep.
And he just goes off, man. Like the last two games, we're recording on the Sunday, and the last two games he scored 27 and 25.
Yeah.
Like he's crazy. He averages 20 points, 4.8 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 2.6 threes per game, 43% from field, 85% from free throw percentage, lethal shooter, lethal scorer, averaging a dub. Wow, like he's just been playing
Yeah.
amazing this year.
Yeah. It's crazy because this is what he looked like rookie year, right? Especially bubble Tyler Hero, right? And then last year
Bubble,
was just
yeah.
kind of like, okay, was that just a weird bubble thing? It's like, no, okay, this is Tyler Hero. I wonder, like, do you see him as the new like Lou Williams? Is this his award for the next 10 years, or is he eventually gonna like? Do you think he's a six man forever, or how do you see his career going?
I can see him making that jump to
Yeah,
starter. Obviously, right now, like the Miami Heat are just a championship team, right?
yeah,
And they just don't need that scoring punch to start the game because they have, Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Bam, and all that stuff. But on a team that's not the Miami Heat, like I can see him starting at the shooting guard. So as long as he's with the Miami Heat, this is going to be his
yeah,
award. But
yeah,
the second he decides to leave or Miami Heat refresh, their team, Jimmy's getting up there in age. Not Bam, but Larry's
yeah,
getting up there in age, and where they try to rebuild with Hero and Bam as the centerpieces, I could definitely see him starting and
yeah,
being that two guard, which maybe contends with like the Donovan Mitchell, like he said in the bubble year. He said, "I'm trying to be there, right there with those
yeah.
guys." And
He
now
did.
that statement, it's still kind of wild, but it's
Kind
less
of,
wild.
but I mean, he's averaging a 24-4 or
Yeah,
25-4 pretty much. Like you said, sometimes the best scorer on what maybe a championship team. So, yeah, I mean, there isn't really much else to say about Tyler Hero, except he could be in the most improved conversation as well. I don't know if you have him in your list. We'll see when we get there. Should we just pivot to that award now?
yeah. Let's just pivot to that order right now.
Okay, so I don't have Tyler Hero in my top three for this award.
Okay.
But my three is Miles Bridges, my number two is Darius Garland, and my number one is John Morant.
Yeah, that's just it.
Yeah,
I'm kind of annoyed
I
that
don't like it.
John
Yeah,
Morant's winning this award.
yeah,
It should be Darius Garland's award to win, but even then, Darius Garland, like did he improve or did he just finally get healthy? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. Right.
Like
Yeah.
obviously he's playing better than he was, but like I'm pretty sure he would have had a really good first couple of seasons, like if he
Mhm.
was healthy, right?
Yeah.
And then John Morant, like this jump was expected. Like Miles Bridges just kind of getting screwed out of award here because it should be Miles Bridges' award.
Yeah.
But sadly, John Morant's gonna win this. He's playing at an MVP level. He's probably sixth in MVP, top 10 MVP season. The Grizzlies are a contender. Like they could actually make it out the West, and John Morant's a huge part of that.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, he's gonna win this award. Darius Garland, All Star. LeBron showed him a lot of love. Top 4 seed with Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
He's a huge, probably the biggest part of that. Yeah, he's gonna be number 2 for this award, and Miles Bridges is gonna be number 3, the person who should win this award. Someone who actually made the jump out of nowhere and became a way better shooter, way better rebounder, way better defender, way better
Yeah.
driver,
Yeah.
improved the game all around.
I agree. And typically, I don't think anyone likes giving most improved to like second and third year players who were the number 2 pick in the draft. But I do
Yeah.
think this like meteoric rise of John Morant was beyond anything that we were expecting, at least this early from him in his third season in the league.
Yeah.
Already being literally an MVP caliber player and leading his Memphis team, which on paper should not be where they are, to where they are, is like, yeah, he was supposed to be an all-star caliber player, maybe by his 3rd year, but definitely not an MVP caliber player, and that's what he is. So I don't hate it as much. And Garland, I mean, too, like these awards are very Cleveland themed, and as
Yeah.
it should be, because what's happening in Cleveland is amazing, and the culture that's developing there. But yeah, if you're talking about like, I don't know, whatever. It's John Morant's award, and it's pretty much a wrap at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Okay. So let's
go defensive player of the year.
All right, let's do it. Yeah. Okay. So
I'll just give
you
my
go
first
first.
3.
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah. So my number 1 is Rudy Gobert, sadly.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Draymond Green. And my
Mhm.
number 3, I gave it to Jared Allen.
Okay. I have Giannis 3.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I have the same 1 or 2 as you. I want to give it to Draymond Green. Warriors are still number 1 defense, but he's just not playing, right? Like at least right now. So it's Rudy Gobert's 4th defensive player of the year if the season ended right now.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
I kind of hope he doesn't get it. I kind of hope like Jared Allen gets it or Giannis gets it somehow.
Yeah.
But like, man, he's just so good defensively in the regular season. Like he just everything's funneled towards him, and he does so much rebounding, blocking, protecting the rim. Like he's so good defensively regular season, and then he just gets exposed every single playoffs, and it's just such a boring story to hear about. And I wanted Draymond to win it because he's actually elite come playoffs too. Like he's actually elite, and they're the best defensive team if you look at defensive metrics, advanced stats and stuff. Like he's just too hurt, man. Like I hope he's able to play out the rest of the season and kind of actually become in the conversation again. And then I hope Jared Allen, I hope he gets some love because he's been elite defensively too, and he definitely should make defensive player like defensive teams and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And like I'm hoping Draymond comes back and is able to put enough of a body of work together to earn this award, because the Warriors are still the number 1 defensive rating team in the league. But let's say he doesn't. I don't know. I can see maybe Jared Allen kind of sneaking in and getting in there, because like we got Darius Garland 2 most improved. Evan Mobley may or may not win Rookie of the Year. So like maybe just to like give give Cleveland some love. Like maybe some people are going to put Allen number 1, but I don't know. If we're talking like the actual best defender in the NBA, I think it's probably Giannis.
Yeah, it is.
Right. But like, I don't know. It's when you basing on regular season, the metrics we base it on, it's probably just going to be Gobert again. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just always that. And it's kind of just sucks to see because right now we would both love to have this conversation if Draymond Green played more games and we're like, Draymond Green, has potential to go down as one of the greatest defensive players of all time. Like another defensive player of the year in the championship maybe pushes him towards top 75, top 100, whatever, the next time they're done. Like we got to have those conversations. But at the end of the day, you have to be healthy to win the award. And Draymond Green he doesn't even play. Like hasn't played since Klay Thompson has returned. Like they took turns. Like they passed the baton. Like it's crazy. I hope he comes back soon because without him, they're not a championship contending team. And with him, they're like the favorites. So I hope he's back.
Yeah. Let's hope. Okay, let's end this off with the two non-player awards. We'll do coach and executive. I guess
Coach.
let's do coach first.
Yeah.
Um, Cleveland themed for me again. I've got number 3 Taylor Jenkins, number 2 Monty Williams, and number 1 by a landslide I got JB Bickerstaff.
I have JB Bickerstaff as number 2. I
Really?
have
Okay.
Billy Donovan as number 3.
Okay.
My number 1 by a landslide is Monty Williams.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
And
Interesting.
the reason I have Monty Williams number 1 is they're like 7 games
Yeah.
on top of the whole league.
Mhm.
And he didn't get it last year because we talked about this great story about how, you know, Tom Thibodeau took the Knicks from, expected to not make the playoffs into the fourth seed, and they're doing all these wonderful things. And man, Monty Williams deserves one of these 2 seasons. He didn't get it last year. He deserves this season. He can't be the first number 1 seed back-to-back years, especially this year when Chris Paul's out. And let's be real, even with Chris Paul out, they're probably still going to be the number 1 seed because of the
Mhm.
cushioning. So I think, man, you have Chris Paul injury for over 2 months. You have hitting almost 50 wins when only playing 60 games when your team was in full health. That's insane. Like they're just
Mhm.
winning on such a high level, and they're just clearly the best regular season team. Like it was not even close. Like they're just by far the
Yeah.
best regular season team. And he's faced adversity with the injuries. DeAndre Ayton has also been injured too. People are kind of sweep
Mhm.
that under the rug, but DeAndre Ayton's been injured and he's been able to make JaVale McGee and Bismack Biyombo elite players. Like when you
Yeah.
look at this Suns team, like if I told you like a couple of years ago that Campaign, Devin Booker, Miles Bridges, Mikal Bridges, excuse me, Jay Crowder and JaVale McGee, like they played a couple games together,
Mhm.
was the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Everyone would be like, "What? Like, is
Yeah.
Devin Booker averaging 60 points?" Like that's what
Yeah.
they would say, right?
Yeah.
The Suns team is elite. Obviously, Chris Paul deserves a lot of that. Devin Booker deserves a lot of that. But Monty
Mhm.
Williams 100% deserves this award.
I agree with you on everything you said there, and I think too often the way the coach of the year is handed out is like
Sorry.
story because we look at the Suns and we expected them to be in this position, right? We're
Yeah.
like because they have an amazing roster with Chris Paul,
Yeah.
who's like a pseudo coach himself, and
Yeah.
then plus the amazing coaching of Monty Williams, who might be the best coach in the league. They're going to be where they are, and because
Yeah.
they're where they are, they're like, okay, cool, like we were right. We look at the Cavs, expecting them to be like a lottery team again, and then suddenly this culture develops seemingly overnight, and I think it's being able to withstand the Rubio and Sexton injuries. I think is a
Yeah.
really big part of this too, and they had some early season injury trouble with Mobley and stuff too. Um, yeah, so it's more of just like a surprise, like look what happened to this team overnight. It seems like they developed the culture, and that usually goes down to the coach. But if we're talking about who actually is the best coach in the league and which coach actually has the most impact on their team is probably Monty Williams.
Yeah.
But like most awards, this is narrative based too
Yeah.
frequently. And that narrative goes to JB Bickerstaff. So
Yeah. JB Bickerstaff is my clear number 2. Like it's between one of those two guys.
yeah,
I would have gave it to JB Bickerstaff if Monty Williams won last year, but
yeah,
Tibbs won last year. So I don't know. It's just gonna when you look at these last 2 years of the Suns and look at their record, look what they did in the playoffs, all that stuff, and you're like,
yeah,
man, how the hell did Monty Williams not get one coach of the
yeah,
year? That's what
yeah.
you're gonna say. But yeah, we both know that JB Bickerstaff is gonna win this award.
Mhm.
It's just I wanted to give Monty Williams a shout because if you look at the last 2 seasons and the year before that when they didn't make the playoffs, you're
Yeah,
like number 1 seed finals run, number 1 seed, Chris Paul out 2 months, and potentially whatever they do in the playoffs, right? And then you can be like, damn, JB Bickerstaff, like how the hell did JB Bickerstaff and Tom Thibodeau went over this guy, right? So
yeah,
we just know
yeah,
we're gonna say that looking back at it. But yeah, Cavs coach is 100% winning this. And then I wanted to give a shout out to Billy Donovan because
yeah.
everyone was saying this team was going to have the worst defense of all time, have
Chemistry
literally the
problems. Yeah,
chemistry problems, all that
yeah,
stuff. And there's been none of that. There's
yeah,
been a humongous amount of injuries to their best 2 defenders. Then everyone started praising their defense and saying Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso are the best defenders and like they lead the defense. Both those guys hurt and they're still the number 1 seed. Billy
yeah,
Donovan definitely deserves a lot of help. And remember, this was the guy that was so bad that like remember like the Westbrook and Katie situation, like he was like one of the
hmm
reasons why all that broke up and stuff like that. but he's proven that it wasn't him, and he's an elite coach.
Agreed. Let's end this off. Executive of the year. Who do you got?
I got the Bulls executive team,
Yeah.
whoever you want to give them to, Cavs executive team, and then Daryl Morey.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Bulls are landslide. I don't know if it's Arturas Carcinovas or Mark Eversley. Like one of them's the president, one of them's the GM. I don't know who it is, but I got Bulls. Yeah, like you said, I mean, a lot of it goes to Billy Donovan, a lot of it goes to DeMar DeRozan, but the Bulls front office is the ones that brought in DeMar DeRozan, the ones that brought in Lonzo Ball, the ones that brought in Alex Caruso. Yeah, and it's just, I think
the worst signing of the year. Remember?
Worst signing of the offseason, DeMar DeRozan, and now he's a top 3 MVP candidate, if not your top 1. I think that's kind of about the only thing you could say. If you sign the MVP in the offseason, I think you're executive of the year. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, Cavs obviously drafting Mobley, and
trading for Levert, trading for
Rubio. Yeah, definitely. And then Darrell Worley is kind of probably the most like volatile one, because I think it was either preseason or quarter season. I had him in there, and I was saying like I would bet on him right now because like it could go either way.
Yeah.
And it went that way, right? They got Harden, so yeah.
He got his guy, and he deserves praise for that, because we were saying, man, just take that Brogdon and Miles Turner, like that's like a decent haul. He's like, nah, I'm waiting for my guy. He got his guy. So, and he kept Tyrese Maxey, which I thought was a lock. I thought you have to keep Tyrese Maxey. And if you look at their last 2 games, where Tyrese Maxey has been a 25-point scorer since James Harden has come back, that looks like a very, very good pickup. He's clearly the 3rd player in the big 3. He's better than Tobias Harris. And I'm happy they kept Tyrese Maxey, because me and Daryl Morey know he was the key to the championship.
Yeah. Like you just say, get Harden, keep Maxey, keep Thibault, sold. That's it, right? You're a top 3 executive. Yeah. But yeah, that does it for all our 6+1 final award. We'll do this one more time at the end of the season, pre-playoffs. But yeah, man, like these awards changed a lot since we did it the first time. So this has been a very up and down NBA season in a good way. So looking forward to see what happens in our final one. But thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the podcast. We'll be back next week like we always are, with talking more basketball. In the meantime, check us out on all our socials: Instagram, Stretch the Floor Podcast, YouTube, SCF Clips. Most importantly, subscribe to the podcast feed, leave a like, rating, review wherever you get your podcast, because it all really helps. Thank you again, and we will see you next week.